Hey everyone, Josh Hyland here. There's been a lot of buzz about what's going to be released next week, the 27th of January 2010 from Apple. There's a lot of buzz about the iSlate that's coming out, but I think that there's going to be some other announcements that people aren't really focused on, primarily things related to the iPhone. The iPhone is due for a new upgrade. Every year around this time, they announce a new iPhone, and then it goes for sale in June or July, depending on where they've been with things. But I think that there's going to be some cool stuff coming up from the iPhone with the release of, at a minimum, a new version of the operating system. So earlier today, I asked people via Twitter what they would want to see in the new version of the OS, and I got some pretty good responses from people. One guy said that he'd like to see the ability to mark text messages as unread. It's kind of a cool feature, not too hard to work into a new version of the operating system. So we might see that. Somebody else mentioned that it would be cool to have maps audibly speak the directions to you as you're driving around and navigating. Uh, I can see that happening because the Google Nexus One is a phone that's doing that right now, and Droid has its applications for that. The only thing that's close to that on the iPhone is the TomTom app, and that's like $100. So I don't know if they're going to cut into that with TomTom or if they can come out with something like that. It'd be awesome if they did. That's something I really want. The voice features on the iPhone are really understated. A lot of people don't even realize that the iPhone 3GS has a voice capability feature. I don't use it. I think it's garbage. Somebody else said that it would be cool to have the ability to mail more than one photo at a time. I agree with that. I'd actually like to be able to go into the Mail app and then tap into the camera roll and be able to pick up photos and videos from there and mail them out. Right now, you currently have to go into the photo application, pick your photo, and then tell it you want to email the photo. It's a little backwards, so I hope that they can correct that in the new version of the software. Somebody else said that they'd like to see Bluetooth sharing. I think that's cool. I could see a lot of apps benefiting from that, being able to connect two phones via Bluetooth and trade files back and forth. That's something that's not available right now in the iPhone. Another guy suggested push notification inboxes. This is a really cool thing, something I hadn't thought about. It'd be nice to have one central location for all your push notifications coming in, kind of like how your mail is right now. In the Mail app, you can have different mail accounts. It'd be nice to have a push notification kind of bucket, and in that you could see all the notifications from the different apps instead of each app, going through the different pages on your iPhone, figuring out which apps have updates, and just constantly getting that reminder in front of your face that something new is coming in on the push notification. We got some other people that via Twitter that said that they'd like to see a forward-facing camera for chat. That's cool, but I really think that that's not going to be something that we're going to be seeing. That's a whole hardware workaround, and I really think that they're going to be focused on the iSlate this turnaround. So I think we're only going to be seeing minor updates and possibly software updates. Somebody else mentioned they'd like to see a camera flash. I'd really like to see that also. Again, that's a little bit bigger of a hardware change, but it's something that's doable. I'd really like to see that because, come on, let's face it, every other smartphone has a good flash except for the iPhone. What I do think is going to happen, these are my predictions, so I want people to hold me accountable for these. It'll be interesting in a week to see what actually happens with the iPhone or if my predictions are just totally lost. The suggestions that people had were good, but I think that they missed some of the things that are going to happen. I think the biggest thing is Apple's going to update the iPhone. The current camera is 3 megapixels. They're going to put in a 5 megapixel camera. That would compete it with the Nexus One and also Droid. Or maybe they'll go past that and maybe put a 6 megapixel camera in. That's a big step, but I think that Apple can do that. There's a lot of focus on the camera now that it shoots video, and people are getting more into that. Look, I'm shooting video right now, so I'm using my new MacBook Pro, not my iPhone, but video and photos are getting way more important as you're connected. So I think that that's something they're going to update. I think we're going to see the 16 gig version of the iPhone disappear, and Apple's going to roll out 32 and 64-bit version, 64 gig versions. So that's going to be the big thing is size. The phone, I think the form factor is going to stay the same. For all intents and purposes, it'll be the same phone with a different camera and more memory. Maybe a faster processor like they did with the 3GS, but I don't really see that right now. Just memory and the camera. But another big thing I think that they're going to improve on is the battery life. Battery life right now, it's doable, but it sucks. So that's something that there's always room for improvement in. Memory, camera, and battery, those are things that are always changing. The industry's always moving on those. So it makes sense for Apple to update those items. One thing that it does that I do think they're going to change big time in the iPhone version 4 software is going to be multiple applications. I'm calling it right now. I think Apple's going to limit it to possibly 2 or 3 applications running, but it's something that I think is important, and it's one of the biggest pushbacks from developers like myself and just people in the Apple community saying that we need to run multiple apps. Look, Droid can do it. Nexus One which is a Droid phone, is doing it. Everyone's doing it. Why isn't iPhone doing it? Well, they're not doing it for performance issues, but I think that it's time for them to open that up and do that. Of course, the big talk is about the iSlate or iTablet or whatever it's going to be. I think it's going to be called iSlate, and it's going to be around 10 inches from what the rumors are saying. It's going to be priced somewhere around the $400 price point. I've seen talks of people saying that Verizon's going to be involved. I don't really think Verizon's going to be involved with it, but it will be interesting to see. I'm mostly focused on what's going to be happening with the iPhone. I love the iPhone, but I really don't think there's going to be much change with it. The biggest thing is going to be the operating system. It'd be interesting to see if the operating system for the phone and the tablet are the same, because as a developer, I don't really see them rolling out 3 different versions of their operating system. The one for the computers, the laptops, and the desktop machine, and then for their mobile devices like the phone and the Slate. I don't see them doing 2 different ones there. I see it as having two branches of it: the desktop stuff and then the mobile stuff. So hopefully, if that happens, they have to roll out multiple apps, because the tablet will be next to useless if you can only run one application at a time. At that point, it's just a glorified iPhone. So if they're really wanting to change things up and do it, they're going to have to make changes to the operating system, and they're going to have to open up for iPhone. And for me, I think that's where the biggest notification is going to come from, the biggest change. So it'll be interesting. Let's see. So next week, this time, I'll be recording another video, and we'll actually see what happened and if my predictions are true. All right, thanks for checking it out.